whatever you do in life, if you actually align what you want to do, then you don't have to feel stuck anymore.
Welcome to Women's Thrive Podcast. This is where you'll get to hear incredible stories of female entrepreneurs, business owners, women from all walks of life. Myself, Raymond Jan, and my co-host Abigail will be interviewing incredible women, hearing inspiring stories of women from all around the world. I have no doubt that you will find something that will be life-changing for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us for our future episodes. Hello and welcome to today's podcast. My name is Rhonda Jan and I will be your host for today's conversation. Today we're talking about how to make a pivot in your career. So whether you're feeling a little bit stuck or out of alignment, or you're looking to make a new change in your career or your profession, today's conversation with my special guest, Coach Cali, is going to be truly invaluable for you today. Well, I want to say hello to our guest. Hi, Cali. How are you? Where are you joining us from today?
I am in South Carolina.
Amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you today. Before we begin, I want to give a quick introduction of my guest today. So Dr. Cali Earle, also known as Coach Cali, is a transformational life coach. She's a keynote speaker and a consultant with over 20 years of professional experience and 12 years in leadership. She's a former nurse practitioner turned empowerment coach who specializes in helping career-driven women and men who feel stuck realigning their purpose and reignite their passion. Through her coaching and her upcoming book, Unlock Your Infinite Mind Starter Kit, Dr. Earle equips her clients to break free from limitations and create impactful, fulfilling lives and careers. Coach Cali, welcome. Good to see you.
I'm excited.
Well, tell me a little bit more about what you do and how you help others realign their careers.
As you mentioned, as a nurse practitioner, I've done that in the last 7 years. But what I do is I help professional people who feel stuck in their current position, career, or even in their place in life to help them know that they can align their gift and may not have to change everything about their life. We want to make sure that they're able to be impactful and that they're able to align their gift and that they're able to be in peace in their decision making and what they do. So my whole goal is just to make sure that whatever you do in life, if you actually align what you want to do, then you don't have to feel stuck anymore.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people, especially when they reach a certain point in their career, it becomes a bit stagnant and perhaps less fulfilling. Do you find that when you work with people, where do you find that the most struggle with?
Yeah, I find it when I really work with professionals, they are very task oriented. They got a lot of accolades, very accomplished, and then they come to a place, they just don't have a long list of things to accomplish anymore. So they feel stagnant, like something's wrong. And we just have to open it up to now what you want. And I just think we've been in stuff so long, we stop thinking of new things we want because they do, and professionals they already established. But as you mentioned, they do feel that stagnant and it's like, is something wrong?
Mm. So what you describe is almost like I've reached my capacity. I've done everything there is to do in my career. Now I'm sort of getting itchy feet. What's next?
It can be fearful. It's fearful for my clients. It was fearful for me. It just puts us in a little stuck box that I know so well. That's why I can really help them say it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So in your own career, obviously you spent quite a long time in your career, and it's not like you went out to perhaps looking for another different career to find fulfillment. You actually found pivot within your own career. So tell me a little bit more about your story and how your journey unfolded.
So with my journey, it started because I've been in it so long. I was very young, and nursing is a field you grow in. So a lot of times when I would get to a place and I didn't feel like I was just aligned or something was wrong, nurses provide these opportunities for you to keep growing. Like, oh, get this degree, get a bachelor's, get a nurse, go your doctorate, which is, if that's the path to go, it's good. But for me, no matter what accomplishes I got, It was the alignment I was missing. And I just wasn't asking myself the right questions, but I was able to achieve it because I'm a very task focused person. So I started in the medical field at 17 and I loved it, but it gives you a lot of paths to go on. It's just when I actually arrived to my nurse practitioner level, you reach this capacity. And I knew, damn, I want to be a nurse practitioner. And then you arrive and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's next? What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And it wasn't just the role. I think it's just where in life I didn't have that next thing to do or I didn't know how to do. So for me personally, it was a lengthy time of pivoting in different places of my life. And that's why I do help. I just don't want someone to have to take 20 years to really find that alignment, even if it looks successful on the other end.
So how long have you spent in your career now?
It's 20 years. I'm 37, so 17 to 37 completely. And it's been, you have these highs and lows and enjoyments. And I really love what I do. I just kind of lost me in it. So that's where I usually see my clients. They come, they love it. We find ourselves being a little shameful to say we're not so happy in our career. It's kind of hard to tell someone, oh, I have a great career, but I'm not happy. So I really find people in that space and they're afraid to say it. So we just got to say it. And it's not the career. It's actually us just in the moment. There's nothing wrong with us. We're just in a moment that we find a place we just need to develop in. And I think that's kind of hard if you are a professional who's been doing this for 20 years. You look in the mirror and realize you need more development as well.
Mm. And you mentioned something earlier that we don't ask ourselves the questions or we don't take the pause enough to ask ourselves, is this fulfilling anymore?
Yeah, I feel like I asked the question if I was fulfilled, and the answer was no. So I would pivot and do something else. But I never spent the time in the moment to know what was fulfilling. I just knew that wasn't it. So that's why I feel like my career just kept growing in different directions because I'm like, oh, this is not it. This is not for me. I can't do it. I don't feel fulfilled. But I never took the time to really say, what will fulfill you? Like, what do you want to fulfill you? So that's why I was like, if you're stuck, I don't want you to do what I did. It's not bad. But if I could help anyone, I would say, let's just take a break and let's just align it with what you really desire. And that could be where you are, or it could just be adding something or set in a different environment that makes you feel, but we just don't take the time to really. So I was asking the questions, but not sitting still long enough to get an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Something that's kind of on my mind, say, what is your professional career plan? Because I think a lot of people have an idea of the career that they want to pursue and then pursue it. And then they get there and they don't take the time to plan their professional career plan because there are so many, especially as you said, in nursing career, there were so many pathways and so many opportunities. But what's going to get you to where you want to be ultimately?
That's a great question. I currently still teach nursing students because I know what that environment does to us. I can reach a goal. I can reach a goal. So now what I do is I ask them who they are outside of nursing because that's really what needs to align in the career. It's not the career. The careers are great and it got you. But what I realize is who I am naturally, who I am, what I do naturally. I bring that to nursing to be a better overall nurse. So when I get my students and then some of the people who are not in nursing, I'll say, but what do you do naturally? If you wasn't doing this, what would you do? And you find the gift in it. And they kind of put it to the side because my career says this path is there. So for nurses, I always get them to a place to say, just tell me what would you do, how you want to do it, what would you add? Because they don't want to take nursing away. Most people don't want to change their career. It just seems like the vulture in that moment. So I really kind of sit the career to the side and say, what would you want? How would it look if you could make it? And that's how we find that purpose-driven vision. And that's the piece I think, as you mentioned, we just don't sit in it enough to find it. But I think it's more your natural grip, align it with what you're already doing. It's what changed me. Like even in all my nursing, I love so much more because I bring my alignment and me to it, not just oh, this is my job. I got to do it's my title. Now I come in with a lot of more joy and a lot of more personality to say, this is really what I should be doing because I'm aligned now. And I want that for them because I know the steps. It's just the drivers. I was in military too. I know you get a rank, you go, right? It's just go, go, go. So I
Mm.
have to slow all my nursing students down before they take all that. Before you leave, you can really have not just the title, you can have the alignment and grow and truly just enjoy the steps though. Cause I feel like I missed out on that enjoyment just from step, 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 step.
Yeah. And I love what you just said there, to bring your true self into your career, because you're quite right. A lot of times we lose ourselves, and then a lot of people get to a certain place in your career and they ask themselves, but who am I? Because their career defined them so much. So their career becomes them as opposed to their authentic selves being in the career and being the driver as opposed to the other way around.
And I was on the other end that I didn't appreciate my nursing career because I didn't want it to identify me.
Mm.
So for years, I would never tell anyone I was a nurse. For years, I wouldn't talk about being a nurse because I would see other people nursing, identify them. So I did the complete opposites, which I don't think either one is the right place. We should be right in the middle of it. I'm a nurse and I'm this, or this is my profession, but I bring me. So I was totally opposite, wouldn't say. And like I said, I kind of had some shame there just because I didn't know how to grow in that position while being me. So those experiences really tedious to me. And when I see someone in it, I know it so well. Like I see it on them. Like I know you really don't want to tell me you're not happy in this career, but it's okay. It's not the career. It's really we just have not put as much investment in you as we put into your career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question, which is, who is Cali outside of her career, outside of her accolades, outside of all the things that perhaps others they see as defining you, but who are you outside of that?
That's a great question because I would say I just figured that out. I always had an idea of who I was because I knew my traits, I knew my values, and that. But right now, at this age and at this time, I am a very, very content, confident woman within myself. I have no desire to control or change anything that's not in my will. And I do feel like I'm at a place to accept anyone where they are. I could have not said that before. And that's major to me because my ways are not other people's ways. And my path of why things work for me, I'd really know, especially being a married woman, just because things work well for me in this path does not mean my environment's going to do. So I really drive on just being present in acceptance. Either it's my flaws, my wrong, I apologize more, I thank people more, I spam more, and I definitely laugh and I pour it everywhere I go. And that's that alignment I was telling you about. Like I am truly, I could say if nothing changes, I am just thankful I knew and discovered it was never that I was a problem. I never just aligned to
Mm.
be present in everything. And that's kind of just where I'm at. And that's what I want for other people because I've done a lot, as you mentioned, but none of these things feel like this. None of it feels like me actually trying and pouring into someone else to say, you got it. It's already there. It's been there. And we just been layering stuff over it. And we just need to just get everything out the way. So you can actually be in front and everything will follow. And I would hear people say this, or I would hear it on podcasts and this. I'm like, that is not true. That's just not true. It's not, I'm investing, I'm going to school, I'm doing all these things. I have none of that they're talking about. So I wasn't a believer. So I know that people won't believe me like, oh, it doesn't work that way. But it's the alignment that brings things to you. It's not so much of, like you said, my career, my accolades. It's not those things. It's that I actually truly care and genuinely want you better. And now I see it come to me in overflow.
Yeah.
And oh, wow, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned before we came on that the way you started this career is as a coach, Cali. coaching and guiding people through their pivotal moments of their career and transitions, that once people saw what you're doing and how it's working for you, others started to approach you and ask you, well, what are you doing? So tell me a little bit more about the career that you have or the position that you have as a coach. And is it fulfilling? Do you find that this is truly your soulful and aligned work?
Yes, I do. When I started to, I would say my ultimate pivot, I had a lot of small pivots, but when I arrived to a nurse practitioner role, it was one of the biggest pivot. I wasn't mentally prepared for what people would expect of me. I just wanted to do my MP job, not realizing my responsibility to those around me and all the people would depend on me and do these things. So it really had me in a place I had to develop to arrive to the title. And the more free in spirit I got into it, other nurse practitioners would come to me and say, what are you doing different? Or how did you do? And we would sit there at lunch or we would sit after work. And I would just tell them like, oh no, it's not this. It's in these moments you find where your happiness is. Like it's still there. And the job is demanding it. So that's how I actually developed my coaching, because it was my peer saying, how do we juggle everything? And I'm like, you can be a great mom, you can do all this thing, but only when you start aligning. So I did that for about 3 or 4 years. Then I started coaching people outside of nursing, just because it may be my nurse practitioner's husband or their sister or those kind of things. And I'm like, oh, this is something people really want to know. I didn't realize everybody was stuck like me. Like I didn't know other people were feeling the weight because we just don't talk. So now I started doing it online because right then COVID came. So we wasn't doing much more talking at lunches. But then I was like, online, I could do it. And I really start seeing a pattern of how we were stuck. And so now that when I just keep tailoring it, the more people I get, the more I tailor the process. Is how I came up with the starter kit, because we're so busy, right? I can't give you all the stuff and you may not get to watch a video, but I can give you something you can go back and reference and say, I'm here today. That's where I'm at today. And so I divided it. Chapters 4 is where we at. 4 is where we want to be. You can use it at any time. But it does fulfill me to a place where now I see why I went through what I went through. And I know you said it before, every story has to be told. So I really believe I wanted to keep it to myself. I wasn't a really person to go tell everybody I was stuck and then this. But when people ask, I didn't think twice to tell them. Like, so it really developed naturally because if you ask me, I'm going to give it.
Mm.
So when they start asking, I didn't realize I was transitioning into coaching.
Wow, amazing. So, as you mentioned, your new book that you've been writing called Unlock Your Infinite Mind Starter Kit. So, tell me a bit more about that. I know you touched on it just briefly just now, but tell me a bit more about it.
I'm a guru for mentors. I'm a guru for people who so I was in a speaking group learning how to speak better because I'm always wanting to develop. And a guy wrote a 34-page book. And it was so good that I remember enough. I read it and I'm applying it in a week. And I'm like, oh, my clients may need something they can reference and go. So I was like, oh, I'm going to do a starter kit, because it was so quick to me that I was able to read it 1, 2, 3 times. So I was getting it more. It's like, oh, busy lives, professionals, let me do a starter kit. So like I said, the first 4 chapters talks about who we are. And I include myself in that. This is where we were stuck. This is how we feel. Because we got to go through all that. We want to know that it's me and other people too. And I made the last 4 chapters about how we transition out of it. So it's really good. And everything I do is set on 4 principles. It's always about the purpose-driven vision. It's always about resilience and reflection. And then I get into effective leadership and emotional intelligence. And then we come up with an executive strategic plan. And I call it press. That's how I remember, because I know I feel pressure, but the press is like we just reverse where the pressure comes from. So I like for my patients that we put our own pressure on ourselves, right? Because we're the driver of it. So the book just is a really short, and I give more scenarios so they can see their self in the scenario. Like, hey, this is where I started. This is where I want to be. And I think even now I use it in the same steps because I want them to know it's continuous.
Mm.
You starter kit, you want to have it with you because soon as you are expert here as a doctor, as a nurse practitioner, but I'm a novice here in speaking, right? So that's a different kind of transition. So I use those steps to say, okay, this is just where I'm at. It's not the end of the world. And it just made me feel like they needed that where, yes, they can have coaching sessions with me. Yes, they can do other things. But if they just have the book with them, they can reference the page and it builds more of our confidence within trusting ourselves, which is something we do dive in the coaching because I trusted things, but I didn't know how to truly trust me, which just aligns with those career things because careers line it up for us. Our life is like, you got to figure it out. You got to figure this path out. So the starting with me was really, I wanted it to be short, I wanted it to be quick, and I wanted it to be impactful. And I wanted my clients to have something to reference back. When I went through our process in developing, I did my therapy, I did things, and she was very open about, you can call me anytime. But it's so many times I actually didn't do it. So I wanted them to have something that if you don't want to call, then you can go right to this page because I would tell you what's right there on that page.
Yeah. And I love when you're able to document your wisdom and your process and like something so impactful like press, right? And it's abbreviation of your secret approach for your process that has worked for your reminders. Because as you said, okay, even if you reach your pivotal point of your career, if you're going to transition into something new, you're going to be a starter again. And now you're going to start all over again. And it's exciting. Yeah, it's daunting and it's going to stretch you. And I always like a fresh start and I like to push myself out of comfort zone. I think that's one of the reasons why I chose like entrepreneurship and doing things the way I wanted to be aligned and make an impact in this world because I can continuously grow. I can continuously challenge myself. I could do something new. I wouldn't have to necessarily go find a career that would fulfill me. I can create my career. And I think that's one of the reasons why I pursued the path that I have, knowing from the beginning that's the way I was wired. So I think it's that self-awareness that plays a big part in it.
Yeah, that is something. That's even with nurses. I say nurses, like, you're brand new. I need to know what you're good at because I don't want you to make everything about nursing because you have to bring you.
Yeah.
Because one day that you inside is going to wake up. It's
Mm.
going to want to be shared. It's going to want to, a friend of mine says, is when a soul speaks. Your soul has got a story to tell through all of it. So it's nice if you can start out knowing
Yeah.
how to put the two together and get that enjoyment. And then you're an entrepreneur, so it's tough, but it still gives you your desire because that's who you are. And I just want people to know we just different. So if you're here, it's okay to be there. It just make sure you're fulfilled because it's possible. It's actually possible.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't have to fit into a specific career, but as your approach is like, well, you don't have to fit into the constraints of a career. If you bring your true authentic self, you can flourish as your unique individual and bring your own gifts into a career that would appreciate those things about you, which is really powerful because I feel a lot of careers sometimes feel restrictive, whether it's of our own mindset or doing, that it doesn't allow us to be who we are. And we feel like we always have to live up to the role or career or whatever.
And nursing is one of those fields, it has a lot of restrictions, but I feel like your window is not open where so many nurses have become entrepreneurs.
Mm.
They have built these spaces. And so I'm like, you'll find another you in that space once you accept who you are. Like for me, I new speaker, right? So I find all the speakers who's do it and willing to share and grow me in these things. And I just think that for a long time, nursing was a path, right? I didn't know life offered other paths. I didn't know speakers was out there willing to help, or if you choose to, whatever career, like I was telling her, I said, you want to be a PACU nurse? She was like, yeah. I said, do you have any PACU friends? She said, no. I said, you're going to need them. Like, I said, even if they're not your friends, they have what you want, and aligning yourself keeps you in a path. So I think it's just more, like you said, it's restrictions if it's there, but it's so many paths. And school is just one of those things that says, this is ending. But life really gives us paths because we have other people who cross those bridges before us that do actually look back. We just never look there because we don't think about my gift. So that's why I say, okay, what do you do good naturally? I always go to the natural part because they'll tell me all the career just naturally. That's the best. They always told me, if you love what you do, you never have to work. Right. And I did love what I do, but something still was missing.
Yeah.
It's actually my natural gift that's just the piece. It's like, hey, you can do it and be aligned. Kind of just want to add my spin to it. Hey, you can really be happy in your career only if you allow yourself to naturally do. And when that time is right, it took me a long time to really understand it. So it's why I do deal with a lot of professionals. I got entrepreneur friends, they've invested, they put their blood and sweat in it, and they just can't figure out what's missing. And I'm like, it's just you. It's not the tag. It's just you actually reverse all of you done and embracing it. And it's not a rat race. That was my biggest thing. It's not a marathon. It's a marathon, not a rat race. And it took so much weight off my shoulders. Even with weekend coaching, like it's going to be what it's be because I'm intentional to do it.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, if our audience wanted to connect with you and just follow your journey or get in touch with you, what is the best way to connect with you?
I am on all social media platforms, and you can find me at Coach Cali. The best way to see and keep up what I'm doing is on my website. It's coachcali.com. You can always do a free call with me. They range from 15 to 30 minutes because everybody's time is different. I'm not selfish with that time because I just want to make sure that I am a fit for you. I do have a need to make sure that we both are aligned so you get what you want. I also got a free gift on my website. If you go to Coach Cali and it says free gift, it is a 30-day ebook that helps your mindset and procrastination. Even as a professional person, I have procrastination in areas I didn't know. So it's great aligning and nursing and doing those tasks, but it was procrastination in my life. So I think no matter where you are, that 30-day ebook will be good for you. And it's just a free gift because if you could read that and be great, I've done my part.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. And I just want to remind our audience, if you wanted to get access to the free ebook that Coach Cali was just mentioning, go ahead to coachcali.com and all the information for her social media channels will also be available in the show notes. So make sure you check it out. Now, thank you all so much for listening. If you stayed this far, and do remember to share this episode because you never know, somebody might be needing this. What a way to perhaps start a new year or end the year with potentially looking at pivoting your career and truly aligning to your goals and visions. And I hope you got away as much as possible from this conversation today, got some ideas, some thoughts, and practical tips, really, because I want to make sure that when you're listening to our podcast, you're also finding some practical tips. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much, Cali. I appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you at the summit as you're going to be one of our speakers at the Women Thrive Summit.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
We look forward to seeing you. Thank you all so much. And don't forget to tap into the Women Thrive Summit, which is our annual women empowerment event that happens every third week of March, which is our annual event featuring over 50 amazing speakers run virtually and live. So you can get engaged with our audience, network with other attendees, and be inspired to truly transform your life and your career. It was a pleasure having you here, and we look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Women Thrive Podcast. If you found today's episode empowering and inspiring, be sure to subscribe and follow us. Better yet, leave a review and share it with others. We're committed to bringing you more stories that will empower and inspire you on your own journey. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep pursuing your dreams.